Introduction. There are 93 nuclear reactors operating in the United States right now. Each one generates enough electricity to power a city. Each one carries enough heat to melt through the Earth's crust if it goes wrong. And right now at 5 a.m., someone is sitting in front of a panel full of equipment, making sure nothing like that happens. Isn't that truly heroic? That person is not a scientist. They're not a general. They don't work in a skyscraper or appear on television. They work in a building with no windows, surrounded by concrete 3 feet thick, and they hold a license that fewer than 2,000 people in the entire country are qualified to carry. Imagine you're 22 years old. You've just been hired at a nuclear plant in Pennsylvania. You don't have a license yet. You don't even know how much it will cost you to get one. You will find out. Level 1. Nuclear Equipment Operator. It says unaccompanied access on the badge. It sounds like freedom, doesn't it? But unfortunately, it isn't. Before you even set foot in the facility, you'll learn the topics you'll be tested on every year for the rest of your career. The basics of radiation protection, emergency operating procedures. You'll learn the technical specifications that govern every valve, every pump, and every system in the facility. Your job title is Nuclear Equipment Operator. At some facilities, this is referred to as Assistant Operator. What this means is that you are the facility's go-to person. Whenever something needs to be aligned, started, stopped, inspected, or operated on site, that task falls to you. You wear dosimetry badges that measure how much radiation your body absorbs. Even if you're told exactly what the limits are, isn't it still scary to be in that situation? The control room operates according to procedures. Every action, no matter how routine, has a written procedure. You don't improvise. Even if you perform the same task 300 times, you don't rely on your memory. You follow the procedure. This isn't bureaucracy. It's about preventing someone from losing their life. After all, you could have been in their place. You earn $42 an hour, rotating shifts, days, nights, weekends. Your body never adjusts. You miss birthdays, you miss holidays. You have Thanksgiving in November and Christmas in April because that's when your days off happen to fall. The people at this plant become your family by necessity. One evening, a senior operator takes you into the reactor building for a walk down. The reactor vessel is behind several feet of concrete and shielding. You can't see it, you can't hear it, but you can feel the heat. The senior operator points to a pressure indicator on the wall. The gauge shows whether everything is normal inside. You watch the numbers, it doesn't move. You haven't quite figured out yet why this is unusual, but you keep working. Level 2. Licensed Reactor Operator. You've been working here for 2 years now. The real training begins now. The NRC exam is the most difficult exam most people in this industry will ever take. The pass rate is around 70%. To be eligible for the exam, you must have 3 years of experience at a nuclear facility. At least one of those years must have been spent at this specific facility. You cannot transfer your license to another facility. Your license is tied to this reactor, this design, and these systems. If you want to work somewhere else, you'll have to start from scratch. You'll undergo a year of training before the exam. Classroom training, simulator sessions, system briefings. In the simulator, instructors create emergency scenarios, loss of coolant, power plant outage, steam generator tube rupture. You respond. You aren't learning what to do in an emergency. You're training your hands and voice to do the right thing before your brain has time to panic. On exam day, you sit before 2 NRC examiners who spent the past week studying the technical specifications of your reactor. They ask you questions for 6 hours. Then they seat you in the simulator and watch you. They're trying to determine whether you're a reliable person who can be left alone in charge of a nuclear reactor at 2 a.m. You pass the exam. Your license will arrive in the mail. It has your photo on it. It says Reactor Operator. The license was issued by the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. You are now one of fewer than 2,000 people in the country who hold this certification. You're now sitting in the control room. You're directly responsible for the reactor's operation. Every parameter has a limit. Every limit has a procedure. You monitor these constantly. Most shifts go by without incident. That's your job. The goal is for nothing to go wrong. You earn $110,000 a year. You take a license renewal exam every 6 years and a performance exam every year. If you fail, you have 30 days to regain your qualification. If you cannot regain your qualification, your license is suspended. One night at 3 a.m., an unusual vibration reading is detected in a reactor cooling pump. The reading is within limits. However, there was no such issue last week. You report the situation. The shift supervisor checks it. He agrees this shouldn't be happening. You document it. You increase the monitoring frequency. You do not return to your normal routine until you understand the cause. 3 days later, the maintenance team identifies a developing bearing issue. They repair it during the next scheduled outage. No one outside this building ever hears about it. But you know what will happen, and this knowledge remains with you quietly for the rest of your career. Level 3. Senior Reactor Operator. After a year of licensed experience, you are eligible for the next level. The Senior Reactor Operator license is a different exam, a different credential, a different responsibility. An SRO does not operate the reactor directly. You supervise the operators who do. Every licensed action taken in the control room on your shift is your responsibility. The reactor operator moves the control rod. You authorized it. The SRO exam is more difficult than the RO exam. You are tested not only on your facility but also on the regulatory framework governing it. You are expected to know not only what you are required to do, but also why the rule exists and what happens if the rule does not fully apply to the situation at hand. Because sometimes it doesn't. Nuclear power plants don't just break down out of the blue. They fail quietly through a combination of events in ways that procedure writers couldn't have fully anticipated. A pump fails, and at the same time, a valve seizes up. Emergency operating procedures are designed for this, but someone has to stand in front of the control room and make sure the team is addressing the right problem. That person is you. You earn $130,000 a year. You hold 2 federal licenses. When the NRC conducts inspections, what they scrutinize are your decisions. You've never made a decision you couldn't defend. This isn't luck. It's the result of every procedure you've followed, every training session you've taken seriously, and every moment you chose to be careful rather than rush at 3 a.m. Your son asks you what you do at work. You tell him you keep the lights on. He asks how. You say it's complicated. He says it's always been that way, but it isn't. Level 4, Shift Supervisor. You are 36 years old. You are now responsible for every person on your shift and every system in the plant for the next 12 hours. The shift supervisor is the senior licensed operator in the control room during any given shift. When the NRC wants to talk to someone at 2 in the morning, they call you. When a system goes outside its normal operating range, you make the call. When someone on your team makes an error, it goes in the corrective action program, and it has your name on it too. You manage 6 to 12 operators. Some of them are better than you were at that level. Others are still learning what fear means in the control room. Your job is to recognize this difference and compensate for it accordingly. You ask them questions. What does this parameter tell you? What do you expect to see next? What would you do if it didn't go as expected? These aren't tests. This is how you keep your team sharp. The hardest call a shift supervisor ever makes is declaring an unusual event. The emergency classification system has 4 levels: unusual event, alert, site area emergency, general emergency. Declaring any of them triggers a chain of notifications: plant management, state officials, the NRC. The machinery of emergency response begins to move, and at the bottom of it, in the control room, is you making sure the operators don't look at the phone ringing and forget to watch the reactor. Throughout your career, you've declared 3 extraordinary events. Each was the right decision. Each was resolved before it could escalate into a major crisis. The problems were solved, but they kept you up at night. Not because things went wrong, but because they almost did. And the line between almost and actually is thinner than most people outside this building realize. You earn $155,000 a year. At least now you get to see your family on the weekends. Level 5. Operations Superintendent. You no longer work shifts. This sounds like relief. It is partly. But the rotating schedule was also the thing that made you feel like an operator. Now you sit in an office. You manage the operations department. You are responsible for the training, qualification, and performance of every licensed operator in the plant. When an operator makes a mistake, you investigate it to understand the root cause and prevent it from happening again. Most errors at nuclear power plants aren't caused by bad people. They stem from complex systems interacting with tired people under time pressure. Your job is to ensure the system doesn't fail. You're now interacting more directly with the NRC. Inspectors come in. They review your procedures, training records, and operational history. You want them to find nothing. If they do find something, you want to have already identified it yourself. You earn $175,000 a year. You have spent 15 years in this industry, and you know things about nuclear power that the people who generate policy about it don't know. You are occasionally asked to comment on proposed regulatory changes. Your comments are read by people in Washington. Your marriage survived the shift work. Most of your colleagues didn't, but life goes on. Level 6, Plant Manager. You are responsible for the safe, reliable, and economical operation of a nuclear power plant that generates enough electricity to power 3 million homes. You answer to the site vice president, to the utilities board, to the shareholders, and most importantly, to the NRC, whose oversight of your facility never stops. Your plant's performance is tracked publicly through the NRC's Reactor oversight process. The whole country can look it up. You have asked the operations superintendent to form a root cause team. They will report back in 30 days. You will not wait 30 days. You will call a meeting tomorrow to understand what they know so far. This is what running a nuclear plant looks like. Not dramatic emergencies, not glowing rods and alarms, trends, patterns, small signals that could be nothing or could be the leading edge of something. Your job is to make sure the small signal never becomes the large one. You earn $220,000 a year plus performance bonus. You could earn significantly more in the private sector. You have been recruited twice. You stayed both times. Some nights you drive home past neighborhoods that are lit up, and you know that the electricity running through those houses passed through a transformer that was fed by a grid that includes your plant. You have been in this industry for 28 years. You have never had a serious event on your watch. Do not say this with pride. You say it with the specific kind of vigilance that knows the moment you start feeling proud is the moment you stop being careful. Level 7, Chief Nuclear Officer. You don't run a plant anymore, you run a fleet. Your title is Chief Nuclear Officer. The company you work for operates 7 reactors across 4 states. Every plant manager in that portfolio reports up a chain that ends with you. Every NRC inspection finding at every site lands on your desk. Every performance indicator, every corrective action trend, every training record, yours. You are responsible for the safe operation of infrastructure that powers 12 million homes and employs 6,000 people. You started in a classroom with a procedure manual. That was 32 years ago. When one of your power plants receives an audit finding, you get a call from the regional manager. At this level, the industry is small. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone is aware of every significant incident that occurred at every facility as far back as 20 years ago. Your days are filled with board meetings, conference briefings, industry working groups, NRC meetings, and plant visits. You walk through the control room at 6 a.m. and ask the shift supervisor the same question you were asked when you first started. What would you do if this reading changed right now? You aren't testing them. You're reminding yourself. You're maintaining the sharpness this job demands. That sharpness is what comfort, seniority, and the corner office are always quietly trying to dull. You earned $380,000 a year. You have more money than you ever expected. You also have weekly meetings with 7 plant managers, a never-ending regulatory file, and a phone that rings on Christmas morning because a question is coming from a control room in Ohio, and the shift supervisor wants the CNO to know about it before the NRC does. You answer the phone. You always answer the phone. Because right now, somewhere, in the control room of one of your plants, someone is sitting in front of a series of gauges at 3 a.m. They're watching a number that isn't moving. They're doing their job exactly right. They have no idea you exist, and the fact that they have no idea you exist means everything is working exactly as it should. That's the job. That's always the job. Conclusion. Somewhere right now, in the classrooms of a nuclear facility, a 22-year-old is holding a procedure manual, trying to understand why every step is so important. The instructor just told the class, if you skip a step because you think you know what comes next, you'll be the most dangerous person in this building. The 22-year-old jots this down. They don't know yet about the exam, about the shift schedule. They just know they want to be the person in the room when it matters. The reactor runs, the lights stay on, the cycle continues. If you'd like to learn more about dangerous and challenging professions like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.